All right, with number 33, we're going to get a lot of help from one of the other questions that we answered. I don't want to spoil it, but this is a good example of how the no reading strategy can help us. Because the things that the other questions that we do first, the lines that they're going to have us read, are going to come back when we have to think about the whole passage. So people who say that it's bad to like skip things and to not read the passage, they just don't know how this works. When we read other stuff, the other questions are going to be about the main ideas that are going to come back when we get to these whole passage questions. So the no reading strategy saves us here. Plus, we can kind of skim and get this really easily otherwise. Let's just look at what they want. Which statement provides the best description of a technique that Smith uses throughout the passage to advance her main point? So, do we need to understand her main point? No. We just need to understand how she makes it. So let's look at A. She presents claims in the form of rhetorical questions that mostly have implicit negative answers. Well, this is the kind of thing you can skim for really easily, right? A rhetorical question is going to end with a question mark. Does she have a lot of question marks? Yeah, for sure. We read plenty of them, but they also come up right here. I see one. Kind of looking around, skimming for question marks. Here's another. Here's another. Here's another. Lots of question marks. So yeah, that probably checks out. Now I'm going to be a little lazy here. They mostly have implicit negative answers. I'm not going to worry about that yet. I see that rhetorical questions work. If I get down to 2 answers and I need to decide which one is right, I am going to have to do some more work and just see if this other piece, let's underline it in green here, I have to see if that's true. I've only done half a job on this choice, but it's enough for me to kind of lazily keep it in and worry about the other half later. Let's look at B. She criticizes her opponents by quoting self-contradictory remarks they have made. Well, quoting, just like question marks, is the kind of thing that we can look for. There's one quote that I see, kind of starts here and ends here. There's a little note that comes from it. It's from the Declaration of Independence. There are some quotes in other places, political question, but notice that what she's doing when she does that, she's not quoting a specific person, right? It seems like she's putting in things in quotes to say, like, this is what other people say, but I'm going to disagree with it. So she's not really quoting actual people. And if she is, we don't really have evidence of it. The only time we see an actual quote from an actual thing is the Declaration of Independence, and I don't think her opponent is the Declaration of Independence. So this is easily skimmable. We can find it in the passage pretty quickly, and it seems wrong because it's not specific individuals, specific opponents. So, yeah. Plus the self-contradictory remarks. I mean, saying things like political question, that's not really self-contradictory. It's just 2 words. Let's look at C. She illustrates each of her central ideas with an emotionally powerful anecdote. That might be harder to skim for, but it's easier to remember. Did we read like stories about her life, stories about her childhood or adulthood, or just anything about her specific experiences? No. She was talking about women in general and what women's experiences are like, but an anecdote is a story about yourself, right? So she's not telling stories, she's just making an argument. So that I, from other questions, definitely did not encounter. And it's possible I missed it because we only read little pieces of the passage as we were told, but if it's a main idea, it's going to be repeated throughout. The likelihood that we missed it is low. So I'd be confident getting rid of that too. D, she emphasizes the reasonableness of her views by presenting them as though they are universally held. Again, that's also hard to skim for. But the first question that we did, I think it was number 35, the line reference question, the first one I would have done if I were doing this passage using the no reading strategy, because it's the first one with a line reference. I read the first paragraph. And the question in the first paragraph, the whole point of this question was to talk about what she's doing here. We are told it is not within the province of woman to discuss the subject of slavery. That is a political question. We are stepping out of our sphere when we take part in its discussion. It is not true that it is merely a political question. So she's not saying that her views are universally held. She's saying that I guess most people disagree with her. We are told that things are this way. I disagree. That's what she's saying. So she is making it very clear that other people disagree with her. So from the first question, I would have known that this is not going to be right. And so this is important. This is how we make the no reading strategy work, is it's not a coincidence that the other questions that are about specific lines and draw us into specific parts of the passage, it's not a coincidence that those questions are also about the same kinds of ideas that get asked about when we have to do these big picture whole passage questions. It's because there's only, 86 lines to this passage. There's only so much you can cram into those lines. And so main ideas are repeated ideas. If we have a question that's about one of those repetitions, then it's likely that that main idea is going to come up when we have to answer the main idea questions. This is not a coincidence. This is how this works. So have a little faith in the no reading strategy. Have a little faith that you will encounter the right ideas that will get you the right information to answer these main idea questions, even if you haven't read every single word of the passage. It works. It worked right here. A is the answer because we saw a lot of questions. That's about it.